Atticus Rhodes versus Yusuke Fujiwara. If you didn't know there was a 4th season of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, well, there was. During that season, a duel occurred between Atticus and Zane's friend, Yusuke, whom at the time was possessed by the final antagonist of the series, the Darkness. Now this duel is interesting because not only do you get to see what happens when a Red Eyes deck goes against the Clear World deck, which I might add is finally getting support. I really like this archetype, I think it's a cool concept. They don't have attributes. What's funky is something weird happens in the middle of this duel, and I'll be honest, it's quite a bit of shenanigans. Spoilers, Atticus does lose this duel in the end. However, I think it is worth analysing because there's some interesting things that happen in the middle of this duel which might have led to Atticus's win, or draw if you will, so I think it's worth looking at. So, with some minor changes, could the outcome of the duel have been changed? We won't know unless we jump into the duel. The duel begins and Yusuke goes first. He draws and his opening hand consists of Clear Phantom, Clear Vice Dragon, Clear Sacrifice, Attribute Bomb, Nihilistic Summoning Technique, and Memory Snatcher. Yusuke starts by summoning his Clear Phantom to the field into attack. He sets his Memory Snatcher trap face down and ends his turn. It's worth noting that despite all those other cards he had in his hand, none of them are really usable right now or even worth setting right at this present moment, so I think this first turn by Yusuke is absolutely fine. It's Atticus's turn, and he draws. His opening hand consists of Red Eyes Wyvern, Hunter Dragon, Dark Factory of Mass Production, Red Eyes Burn, Inferno Fire Blast, and Offensive Guard. Atticus starts by summoning his Red Eyes Wyvern to the field into attack. He immediately enters his battle phase and attacks and destroys Clear Phantom. Yusuke takes the first damage of the duel. However, since Clear Phantom was destroyed, its effect activates. Upon its destruction, it destroys one monster the opponent controls and then forces them to send the top 3 cards of their deck to the grave. Red Eyes Wyvern is destroyed, and Red Eyes Black Dragon, Dragon Heart, and Wing Beat of a Giant Dragon are all sent for the top of Atticus's deck to the graveyard. It's worth noting that Red Eyes Wyvern is now in the graveyard, and it actually has a graveyard ability, which is, you can banish this card in your grave during the end phase of a turn in which you did not normal summon or set, in order to special summon one Red Eyes Black Dragon from your graveyard. So keep that in mind, to use that effect of Red Eyes Wyvern, it needs to be the end phase of a turn where Atticus hasn't normal summoned or normal set. So with that in mind, Yusuke follows up the play by activating his set trap, Memory Snatcher. Now, thanks to this card's effect, it denies the opponent from checking their graveyard. From now on, whenever the opponent wants to affect the grave in any way, shape, or form, they have to name the exact target they want to target in the grave from memory, or else the effect fizzles. Basically, if I activate Monster Reborn, I can target one monster in my graveyard to bring it back. I have to remember what's in my graveyard to know what I can target. I can't check and be like, oh, I'll bring that one back actually. I have to remember. Sounds easy on paper. However, unfortunately, Yusuke is going to implement some memory shenanigans during this duel. It's only going to happen the once, so it's not too big of a deal, but regardless of the memory shenanigans, out of interest, let's actually see how good you are at your memory. Can you tell me, in reverse order of cards in the graveyard, what's in Atticus's graveyard right now? Let me know in the comments and then check what other people have put to see if you got it right. Shouldn't be too hard, right? Anyway, Atticus ends his turn by setting Offensive Guard face down. It's Yusuke's turn, and he draws Clear Rage Golem. He summons it to the field into attack, and then immediately enters his battle phase. He attempts to attack Atticus directly. However, Atticus activates his set Offensive Guard to halve the attack of Clear Rage Golem for this turn, and then draw a card. Atticus takes the 800 direct damage, and then draws Burst Breath. Since Clear Rage Golem dealt battle damage, its effect activates. It inflicts 300 damage to the opponent for each card in their hand. With 5 cards, Atticus takes 1500 damage. Yusuke sets his Nihilistic Summoning Technique face down and ends his turn. Could Atticus have held on to this Offensive Guard trap? Because it affects the entire opponent's field, so when he's got more and bigger monsters in the field, he could have reduced them all down by half. Saving 800 life points, was it really worth it? Well, I'm going to say it was, because you got to draw a card. And that one card is going to make a little bit of a difference later, so I think it was a good play. Definitely worth doing it just for that +1 card. It's back to Atticus, and he draws Swing of Memories. He activates it immediately. Thanks to its effect, he can target one normal monster in his graveyard and special summon it. However, it is destroyed when the turn ends. Due to Memory Snatcher, Atticus must name the target he wishes to bring back. However, oh no, a little bit of memory shenanigans happens here. Yusuke has clouded Atticus's mind, causing him to forget what was even in the graveyard in the first place. Now, if he's unable to declare a correct target for Swing of Memories, the effect will fizzle. Luckily, thanks to the power of friendship and sibling bonds, Atticus is able to remember and declare his ace monster in the grave, Red Eyes Black Dragon. He enters his battle phase and attacks and destroys Clear Rage Golem. Atticus ends his turn by setting Burst Breath face down. As the turn ends, Red Eyes Black Dragon returns to the grave. But only for a moment, as since Atticus hadn't normal summoned or normal set this turn, Red Eyes Wyvern's effect activates now during the end phase. It banishes itself to special summon Red Eyes Black Dragon from the grave to the field. It's Yusuke's turn, and the Propriante penultimate turn of the duel. That's not technically a real word. Basically, it just means we are 5 turns away from the final turn of the duel. This isn't a new thing I'm trying to do or anything. I'm just trying to draw your attention to this turn so it just sticks in your memory for later. Which, if you think about it, is kind of the theme of this duel. Memory. Anyway, Yusuke draws and gets his field spell, Clear World. He activates it. Due to Clear World's effect, now a negative effect is imposed on both players depending on what attributes of monsters they have on the field. If they have any one of these monster attributes on their side of the field, they will be hindered by that attribute detrimental effect. What are these effects? Well, a light monster, a player must play with their hand revealed. A dark monster, monsters they control cannot declare an attack. Earth monster, once per turn they must destroy one monster they control. Water monster, during the end phase they must discard a card. Fire monster, during the end phase they must take 1000 damage. Wind monster, they cannot activate spell cards. Sucks to have an attribute then, right? Well, not the clear monsters. You see, they all possess the archetypal effect that they have no attributes while on the field, making them completely immune to the negative effects of their field spell. By the way, if you haven't noticed, the theming of the 2 decks being on display here, the Clear World and the Red Eyes, and just this duel in general, is basically the concepts of nihilism and individualism. Yusuke represents with his clear monsters nihilism, the belief in nothing. He essentially maintains that life has no meaning, thus rejecting all values and believing that everyone should just become one and live in this dream world because, you know, nothing really matters. Whereas Atticus, with his red eye monsters, represents individualism, the belief of a moral stance that every person is unique and self-reliant, and that people must realize their own intrinsic worth as an individual. Now, with Clear World on the field, and since Yusuke has 2 clear monsters in his grave, he is able to activate his Clear Sacrifice. By revealing Clear Vice Dragon in his hand, he can banish the equivalent amount of tributes he would need to tribute summon this monster from his grave instead. He banishes Clear Phantom and Clear Rage Golem to normal summon his Clear Vice Dragon without cost. Yusuke moves straight into his battle phase and orders Clear Vice Dragon to attack Red Eyes Black Dragon. But with 0 attack, what's this man thinking? Well, Clear Vice has a few effects. First of all, since Clear Vice Dragon has no attribute, it's immune to the dark restriction of Clear World, meaning it's able to declare an attack. Also, if Clear Vice Dragon attacks, it gains attack equal to double the attack of the monster it battles, until the end of the damage step. If it attacks, it is changed to defense position at the end of the battle phase. When a card or effect is activated that would destroy this card, Yusuke can discard 1 card to negate the activation of that card and destroy it. If this card would be destroyed by battle, Yusuke can also discard 1 card to prevent its destruction. And so, with all that in mind, Clear Vice Dragon's attack becomes double that of Red Eyes Black Dragon's. Before the attack can collide and give Yusuke the win, Atticus activates his set trap, Burst Breath. This lets him tribute his Red Eyes Black Dragon to destroy all monsters with less defense than the attack of the monster tributed. Since Clear Vice Dragon has 0 defense, it is destroyed. With no further plays, Yusuke ends his turn. Now, if you're asking why didn't he use Clear Vice Dragon's effect to keep itself alive, well, you're gonna find that out a little bit later. For now, it's Atticus's turn, and he draws a mysterious card. What do you guys reckon this mysterious card is? Something he couldn't use for the rest of this duel? Let me know. Atticus summons his Hunter Dragon into attack. Here, Yusuke reveals that thanks to Clear World, Atticus is now unable to declare an attack while he controls a dark monster. With no more plays, Atticus is forced to end his turn. It's Yusuke's turn, and he draws Attribute Mastery. With all the pieces in place, Yusuke activates his set Nihilistic Summoning Technique, which lets him bring back one of his banished level 4 or lower monsters in attack by equipping this card to it. However, the equipped monster is unable to change its battle position and has its attack reduced to 0. Yusuke brings back Clear Rage Golem. He equips it with his Attribute Mastery. Now, by declaring an attribute, when the equipped monster battles another monster of the declared attribute, that monster is destroyed before damage calculation. But that's not all. Yusuke also equips his monster with Attribute Bomb. Again, by declaring one attribute, if the equipped monster battles a monster of the declared attribute, 1000 damage is dealt to the opponent. Yusuke declares Dark for both. Clear Rage Golem attacks Hunter Dragon. Since it is a dark monster, it is destroyed thanks to Attribute Mastery, and 1000 damage is dealt thanks to Attribute Bomb. Yusuke ends his turn. Oh wait, I just want to point out, an eclipse occurs in the context of the episode, and this actually makes the footage really dark. It bothers me, so I'm going to artificially brighten it for the rest of the duel. So if you think it looks a little bit different, that's why. It's Atticus's turn, and the penultimate turn of the duel. He draws and gets Red Eyes Black Chick. While the option of not summoning a monster here is viable, since if he doesn't summon a monster, then the opponent's monster will have 0 attack and can't do any damage. And with the power of hindsight, I know that he's not going to draw a monster in his next turn, so could have got away with this. But that's a risky thing to do. Just hope your opponent doesn't summon a monster with more than like 700 attack points. Not worth the risk. So Atticus instead activates his Dark Factory of Mass Production. This allows him to add 2 normal monsters in his grave back to his hand. He declares by name Red Eyes Black Dragon and Hunter Dragon. Both are added back to his hand. Atticus normal summons his Red Eyes Black Chick to the field and then uses its effect to tribute itself to special summon the Red Eyes in his hand. Due to Clear World's effect, since Red Eyes 2 is a dark attributed monster, Atticus is still unable to declare any attacks. Instead, however, Atticus activates his Inferno Fire Blast, which deals damage to the opponent equal to the attack of his Red Eyes Black Dragon. Yusuke takes 2400 damage. The negative effect of Inferno Fire Blast is that Red Eyes can't attack this turn. However, luckily, that doesn't really matter with Clear World on the field. Atticus sets Red Eyes Burn face down and ends his turn. Now, I touched on this a little bit earlier, but yes, in hindsight, it doesn't look like Yusuke draws a monster on his next turn, so it would have been in Atticus's best interest not to summon any monsters this turn. This would have meant that Yusuke couldn't attempt to go for game on the next turn, and Atticus would have had another turn to potentially draw something helpful, because keep in mind, he does have non-dark monsters. I'm pretty sure he's got Spear Dragon, which is a wind type monster, and he's also got like Troop Dragon. So all he needs to do is get one of those monsters in the field, attack into the opponent's monster. Because they're not dark, he's allowed to attack, and he's allowed to destroy the monster, so that could have won him the duel. This is all hypothetical. A lot of things had to go right for that to happen. Risking everything on the opponent not drawing a monster isn't the most sensible thing to do, especially when Atticus is trying to get his goal. You see, Atticus has inner darkness. He feels like he betrayed his friend in the past by not staying by his side when he was at his lowest. And so he wants to mend that right by going out with Atticus together. And to do that, he wants a draw. It's Yusuke's turn, and the final turn of the duel. He draws and gets a mysterious card. Yusuke, believing he has game, moves straight into his battle phase and orders Clear Rage Golem to attack Red Eye's Black Dragon. The effect of Attribute Mastery destroys Red Eye's Black Dragon. However, before Atticus can take the 1000 damage from Attribute Bomb, he activates his set card, Red Eye's Burn. Since a Red Eye's monster was destroyed, both players take damage equal to its attack. Because of this, both players' life points drop down to 0 simultaneously. Atticus leaves with a smile, as he was finally able to conquer his inner darkness and be by his friend's side. What a touching ending to a beautiful duel. Or at least, that was one possible future. It's Yusuke's turn, and the propriante penultimate turn of the duel. That's not technically a real word. Basically, it just means we are 5 turns away from the final turn of the duel. This isn't a new thing I'm trying to do anything. I'm just trying to draw your attention to this moment so it sticks in your... Oh man, deja vu and a half. What was I talking about? Oh no, wait, sorry, it's the final turn of the duel. Yusuke draws and gets his field spell, Clear World. He activates it. Now, with Clear World on the field, and since Yusuke has 2 clear monsters in his grave, he is able to activate his Clear Sacrifice. By revealing Clear Vice Dragon in his hand, he can banish the equivalent amount of tributes he would need to tribute summon this monster from his grave instead. He banishes Clear Phantom and Clear Rage Golem to normal summon his Clear Vice Dragon without cost. Yusuke moves straight into his battle phase and orders Clear Vice Dragon to attack Red Eye's Black Dragon. Before the attack can collide and give Yusuke the win, Atticus activates his set trap, Burst Breath. This lets him tribute his Red Eye's Black Dragon to destroy all monsters with less defense than the attack of the monster tributed. Since Clear Vice Dragon has 0 defense, it would be destroyed. However, Yusuke activates the 3rd effect of Clear Vice Dragon. By discarding 1 card, he can negate the activation and effect of a card that would destroy it. Since Burst Breath was negated, Clear Vice Dragon's attack continues. Red Eye's Black Dragon is destroyed, Atticus's life points drop to 0, and Yusuke wins the duel. What is up with Red Eye's duelists getting shafted out of duels? First Joey Wheeler, now Atticus. It's becoming a trend. Cat's out of the bag. There was a little bit of time travel shenanigans in the middle of this duel. However, technically, it wasn't time travel. This is because everything after when Clear World was activated was basically an illusion that followed Atticus's ideal ending to the duel. Keep in mind that Atticus's inner darkness was that he regrets not being by Yusuke's side when he did all the evil shenanigans and everything like that. So he's trying to make up for it in this duel. What's basically happened is Yusuke has watched all of this happen and play out. Then we've gone back into the present, so that's what Atticus wanted the duel to end as. Now he's just like, okay, this is reality now. This is how I screw you over, but I'm glad I know what your inner darkness is. Because everybody has inner darkness. That's the point that Yusuke is basically trying to make. However, what I can't forgive is the Burst Breath misplay. You see, Burst Breath not tributing Red Eye's Black Dragon, even though it was activated, is actually a shenanigans. Regardless if it was negated by Clear Vice Dragon, tributing Red Eyes was the cost to activate that trap card. Meaning, even if it was negated, Red Eyes was already in the grave. With no monsters on the field, Clear Vice Dragon's attack would drop back down to 0 as it has nothing to double. That would have meant Yusuke would have had to pass turn. Atticus's turn, things would have basically carried on how the duel did in the alternate timeline, if you will. Basically, the duel would have resulted in Atticus drawing the duel again. As much as I'd like to say Atticus could win this duel, with Clear World on the field and his abundance of dark monsters, he would literally have to draw into one of his other attributed monsters, which he doesn't have that many of, or have some back row removal spells or traps. So that's kind of the only way you could see it happening, but most likely a draw was the only other alternative. With that, that was Yusuke versus Atticus Rhodes. Let me know what you think of it in the comment section below, and what do you think of this time travel thing that happens and manipulating memories of cards in the graveyard. Interesting concept, don't get me wrong. Want to watch a cool video that I made? Well, I have one right here. Or perhaps you'd rather see me duel. Well, I actually do have a video right here of me dueling on Yugioh Master Duel. You can check it out if you want to. But other than that, thank you for watching. Catch you later.